Welcome to this explainer, where we are going to completely decode the bureaucratic maze of authenticating your official documents for international use. Because, let's be real, getting your paperwork ready for another country can feel incredibly overwhelming. But today, we're breaking it all down so you know exactly what to do.
Are you totally lost trying to get an apostille in Massachusetts? If you're sitting there staring at a giant stack of birth certificates, maybe some diplomas or background checks and wondering, what on earth do I do next? Stay with us. We are going to turn that confusion into total confidence with a clear, step-by-step guide.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap. We're going to cover what an apostille actually is, the Massachusetts Authority, eligible documents, the step-by-step application, pro tips and pitfalls to avoid, and finally, your best resources. Let's get into it.
What is an apostille? First things first, we really need to understand exactly what this piece of paper actually does before we go through the trouble of getting one.
So, the most crucial thing to wrap your head around here is that an apostille acts as an internationally recognized stamp of approval for the signature on your document, not the actual content of the document itself. Established way back by the 1961 Hague Convention, this one-page certificate gets embossed with the state's Great Seal. Basically, it confirms to over 120 member countries that the notary or the city clerk who signed your document is 100% legitimate. Again, it doesn't validate what your document says, it just validates who signed it.
Whether you're a student heading off to Europe, a couple adopting internationally, or maybe a business expanding overseas, this little certificate is literally your key to unlocking those international doors. A super common scenario we see in the sources is applying for dual citizenship, like Italian juris sanguinis, or Irish citizenship by descent. Those require apostilled vital records for every single person in your lineage. Basically, if a foreign government or school is asking you to authenticate a Massachusetts-issued document, an apostille is exactly what they're looking for.
Moving on to Part 2, the Massachusetts Apostille Process. Let's see how this works specifically for Massachusetts residents, because the rules definitely change depending on where your document comes from.
Now here is a critical distinction you absolutely have to make between state and federal documents. In Massachusetts, state apostilles are handled exclusively by the Secretary of the Commonwealth. This covers things like your Massachusetts birth certificates, local court documents, and diplomas. But, and this is a big but, if you have a federal document, like an FBI background check or a Social Security letter, you have to bypass Massachusetts entirely. Those have to go to the U.S. Department of State in Washington, D.C. Sending an FBI report to Boston will get you an instant rejection. Getting this mixed up is actually the #1 cause of delays.
As for the cost, well, if you handle the submission yourself, the base state fee charged by the Commonwealth is an incredibly affordable $6 per document. Yep, just $6. You make that payment out directly to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Now, of course, if you decide to use a professional courier to handle the legwork, review your docs, and wait in line for you, those service fees are going to be higher. They typically range from about $150 to around $380, depending on the rush speed you need.
Part 3, Types of Documents Eligible for Apostille. Now that we know who issues them and what they cost, let's look at exactly which documents qualify for this.
Here is the golden rule of document preparation, so definitely remember this one. Vital records never need a separate notary, but academic and legal documents absolutely do before the state will even touch them. So for birth, marriage, and death certificates, they already carry the official seal of the city clerk or the Registry of Vital Records. You're good to go. But if you have a diploma, a transcript, or a power of attorney, a Massachusetts notary public actually has to properly notarize that document first. The state is then essentially authenticating the notary's signature. And I literally cannot stress this enough, if you bring a photocopy to the state office, you will be turned away at the counter. No exceptions. Your documents must be originals or freshly certified copies carrying that raised seal and the official signature of the registrar. Scans, printouts, unofficial photocopies, they just will not be processed. Period.
Part 4, Step-by-Step Apostille Application Process. You've got your documents prepped, so let's break down the exact actions you need to take to get that stamp.
By following these 4 precise steps, you're going to bypass the common errors that leave so many people frustrated. Step 1, secure that proper certified copy or get the required notarization. Step 2, fill out the mandatory apostille and certification authentication form. Oh, and you absolutely must specify the destination country on this form. Step 3, submit it. You can walk it right into the state office or mail it. If you have just 1 to 3 documents and walk in, they can actually often process it right at the counter for you. If you mail it, expect a 2 to 3 week turnaround. And finally, Step 4, pay your $6 fee and collect your document.
Part 5, Additional Tips and Common Pitfalls. Because even with a solid map, it's pretty easy to trip up, so let's highlight the hidden landmines in this process.
You really don't want to find out you made a mistake weeks into this process. For example, a hospital birth certificate might have a lot of sentimental value, but the Secretary of the Commonwealth will reject it every single time. They only authenticate official vital records issued by a city clerk or the state registry. Another huge pitfall is the age of the document. Some foreign authorities will actually reject a certified copy if it was issued more than 6 to 12 months ago. So you might need to order a fresh copy of your birth certificate before getting the apostille. Oh, and if your notary forgets an oath, leaves off their seal, or uses non-Massachusetts wording, yep, the state will kick that right back too.
And hey, before you celebrate getting your apostille, make absolutely sure your destination country is a Hague Convention member. If they aren't, your journey is not over. It actually continues to an embassy in Washington, D.C. If you're sending docs to Italy or Spain, the state apostille is your finish line. But if your destination is a non-Hague country, like the UAE or China, for example, you'll need the state apostille, followed by U.S. Department of State Authentication, and then finally legalization by that specific country's embassy. It's quite the relay race.
Part 6. Resources and Contact Information. You are now equipped with the knowledge. So let's talk about where exactly you need to go to execute this plan.
Boston is your primary hub for walk-in and mail-in service, specifically located at 1 Ashburton Place, room 1719. But if you live in Western or Southern Massachusetts, you can conveniently use the regional offices, the Springfield office on Dwight Street or the Fall River office on South Main Street. Just remember, you cannot get vital records directly from these apostille offices. If you need a fresh birth or marriage certificate first, you have to go to the city clerk where the event happened, or hit up the Central Registry of Vital Records in Dorchester.
Now, if you're facing a super strict deadline for a visa or maybe a corporate transaction, professional expediting couriers exist to handle this entire legwork for you. As the saying goes, a delayed apostille should never hold up a closing or an international move. Sometimes, paying a service to verify your paperwork, hand-delivered to Boston, and overnight it back to you is absolutely well worth the peace of mind. You don't want a single missing stamp to derail an international adoption or an overseas job offer, right?
As a quick heads up, please remember that government regulations do shift. Always double-check current requirements with the Secretary of the Commonwealth before making the trip. Check sec.state.ma.us for the most up-to-date hours, forms, and fees. This explainer gives you the roadmap, but verifying with the official source is always your best final step.
So, with the bureaucracy finally decoded, where in the world will your authenticated documents take you next? Whether it's a brand new job, studying abroad, or connecting with your heritage, the bureaucracy is beaten, and your paperwork is finally ready to travel. So, what border will you cross first? Thanks for learning with us today.